Reuben Braham, GM Israel of TechTarget. Welcome to my Banter. I have been dying to speak to you for a very long time.
Hi, Billy. Thank you for having me to banter with you. It's
Thank
exciting.
you. Thank you. So, in a minute, we're going to get talking about something that is a hot topic amongst B2B tech marketers, and that's intent data and this murky water of intent data. But first of all, TechTarget, explain to us a little bit. You've been acquired, you've been spun off, you've been merged into wherever. Can you give us a bit of let us know where you stand, please, Ruben?
Okay, so I'll set everything right so people will understand. Informa and TechTarget are two big media powerhouses bringing B2B technology media to the fingertips of technology people. They merged together in December. It's formally traded at the NASDAQ. So the merging now makes it one of the biggest B2B technology media companies with more than 220 digital assets, 50 million plus user readership that allows us to really tap into a lot of insights and bring that information to our technology vendor community.
Okay, got it. Intent data. We all love it and we all hate it. And I think that for good reason, to be honest, everything in marketing that we do today can be seen as intent data or something. Anybody sort of like who talks about our ads is intent data. Anybody who clicks on our ads is intent data. Somebody who attends our webinar is definitely intent data. So how do you see it? I mean, what on earth is going on? Is this going to go into infinity of intent data? I mean, seriously, me walking down the street, is that intent data? If I'm walking past a billboard or walking past some kind of TV that's blaring out a B2B message, Kilo, what's going on? Is everything intent data now?
I think that's a very good way to say it. Maybe the future technology will kind of sense that you're around the billboard and see that you are reading the messages there with intent and then transform it into some intent. But let's take a step back and kind of, try to understand how the buyer's journey has changed. So basically, we have a lot of challenges today when we want to identify the correct person or the buyer. And that's why there is a leaning towards intent. 5% of buyers are today looking at information before they even initiate any discussion or they try to kind of engage with any product vendor. There you have to understand if there's an intent. And why is that a challenge? Because basically only about 2% are really in a buying phase and in a motion. Now, if you look at 100% of the B2B world, and then you want to identify and get into those 2%, and you really cannot, you can find out those 2%, you can identify them because they're probably very engaged. But what about the other 98%, the ones that are after the 2%, they are almost on the stage to move forward. And that's where intent will help you identify and make it easier to you to kind of understand if there is an engagement and then actually help you even focus resources because we don't have unlimited resources, right? Resources are limited. And you know that working with a lot of tech companies people are trying to really be efficient. So that may help.
But you've just depressed me now because up until this conversation, myself and the rest of the B2B tech marketers out there were under the impression that it's a 5% who are in the market. And now you've just said we've chopped that down to 2. So thank you for that, Ruben. That's really kind of you. So data is supposed to help you with the 2%, or is it supposed to help you with converting the 98% or moving them along more quickly? And perhaps we should just take a step back a minute and say, okay, can we just clarify some intent data? Yes, as I said earlier, we used to consider it to be the click on your ad, the download of your ebook, the attending your webinar or seeing you at an event. But now we're referring to many other things. So can you sort of like give me the laundry list of what other kind of intent data we're talking about here?
So there are several types of intent data. Let's start with the very basic. It's called first party data. That's basically me owning my website and having people coming to the website, tracking engagement, tracking the things that are being done. So that's like the best in class. So I know that's. Then the second intent kind of focus is second party intent, what we call. That's big data providers that have their digital sites and they track people coming into, and this is all should be like GDPR, CCPA compliant with
Yep.
permission data so that they
Sure.
are. And then third party data is another way to get intent signals, people accessing review sites and reading reviews. You kind of track the organization, but not really the people who are in the that are that looking at those. So you a difference from the second party is the third party would be it's more generic company based and less the persona based people that are accessing that information. Now on top of that, life is not so easy. It's become more complex. You have social media, so people are showing intent. Like people can be writing reviews or talking about products on LinkedIn, on Reddit, on Quora, and that makes another kind of visibility. So that's also giving some kind of intent if you want to track it. Then you look
Yep.
at firmographics, the location based, the size of the organization. That also may give you some kind of intent, the way his business is working, right? What types of business, the technology, the technographic data, right? What technologies are in there? What is the competitive status of technologies? All that shows like, some kind of intent and helps you identify how you can, look at people that are like, let's say they have like a technology that is 6, 7 years old. Maybe it's the time to replace that technology that can be, and you can try and track them and they are engaging in content. So it's a big universe. I try to narrow it down.
So here we go. So here's my bugbear with this. So I don't think that what you've just defined here is intent. That's data. It's the sources of data, and it's what could define your ICP. But intent is an action. I need to take action in order for me to have intent. I need to click. I need to listen. I need to attend. I need to be talking to my friends about something on whether it's on, whether it's at the coffee shop, and I hope you can't listen into that. Or whether it's sort of like on set social network platforms or peer review sites and stuff like that. So that to me is intent. The rest of what you just defined, in my opinion, is ICP definition and who to target. But they're not showing intent just because they've got this technology that's 7 years old now, and that you could actually replace that with something much better, does not mean intent. So yes, I understand how companies and data sources, etc., provide these lists of people who are in your target audience, but they are by no means in the 2%, may not even be in the 98%. So my question is again, how do we really know who is in the 98% and who is in the 2%? We want to make the 98% go down. We want to be talking to as many people who are interested in our product. It's not as if we're trying to ram a rubbish product down somebody's throat, right? We can help them. Most of the time, we know that our product can help with something. So how do we get that intent?
So there are a couple of ways. One, those are the signals. What I mentioned, they are the signals that are highlighting that people are can. Those are the places where you can look to get. Now, those
Right.
signals need to be transformed into something actionable, as you rightly mentioned, and that would be with identify people taking action. So if I am looking at reviewing and reading a lot of content on a technology, I'm engaging. I may do it because I have a passion for reading technology, but most of the time in our busy world, we are doing something because we want to get something out of it, right? It's so you have to track how, the intent is when you really go and engage, you read materials, you download, you're looking at a lot of topics. Let's say cloud transformation, a big issue in the last 10, 15 years. And a lot of CIOs are looking at that, and IT directors and IT VPs. And so they go and consume, they're looking at material along Amazon and other, vendors that are in this space. So when you start to see that there is a lot of engagement and track that engagement, those signals start to become signals that show the 2% that can now move into the unknown, which is the 98%, how they are starting to kind of show behavior. So that's where we can identify how those intent signals can bring value by looking at the consumption, by looking at how frequent the consumption. So if they did it like 2 years ago, I don't really care, right? So that
Right.
as a vendor, it should be recent, it should be relevant, right? It should be very, very laser focused. Like if I send a message on a social media to colleagues on a tool, let's say Reddit or Quora, saying, guys, I have these three, vendors in my mind, or these three technologies. What do you recommend? It means like it really picks up a signal that I'm showing intent. So that's where the intent starts to become something that's actionable, and then you can translate it and try to, as a marketer, reach out and engage with those people. I hope I
Yeah,
clarified
no,
that.
no, I get that. So, but one mistake that I feel many marketers make, they're constantly looking to get in new top of the funnel leads when, they've got a database of 10, 15, 20,000 people already on there. If they ran campaigns and made specific marketing efforts to actually convert more of the database that they already have, companies that are already familiar with them, that would be far more effective than going out in a new top of the funnel campaign. It's not instead of, but not enough is being done to mine your own content, mine your own database. And also there are tools like Trend Demon that we use a lot, that basically recognizes people who are coming into your website, and then it can take them through different customer journeys within your website. There's nothing more annoying than when you enter a website and you're treated as a one-all solution. This website is intended for everybody. No, I'm a marketer. Certain things interest me. Or I'm a mother, certain things will interest me in a different website. So using tools like Trend Demon really helps you personalize the journey. If more companies did that, intent signals would be much higher as well, because people would be staying longer on the website. They'd be consuming content that's more relevant to them, etc., etc.
So you raised a couple of points that are very interesting, and I want to share a couple of views on that, right? So yes, you can mine your own data, but again, sometimes the challenge is that you have your databases and people are stale on that database, right? They
Yes.
may be not relevant, and
So
then you
clean them
want to
out.
you
You don't need them.
you surely can clean them out, but then to understand who is stale and who is not stale, sometimes you can use the intent again to prioritize in your database. Let's say your example of 10 to 15,000, and you want to mine it. Now you want to look at actually the 1,000 that are really in market for you, that are engaged with you, and to get into that motion, you can use a lot of Intel tools.
One thing that all marketers have learned over the past couple of years is that you need to own your own first party data. You need to get as many people at the end of the day to your website and into your CRM, because you need to own it. We can't be at the mercy of the social media platforms that can decide whether to close our account because they don't like what we're saying there. We can't be at the whim of governments that can decide to just close down a social media platform. So the third-party data is always going to exist, but the end goal for any marketer needs to be to bring the traffic to their website, because without that, they have no control over what people are seeing. What are some of the mistakes that you see that marketers are making regarding intent data that you're like, stop doing this, please, for the love of intent data, stop?
I think that one, not aligning with their ICP, starting off, having a very crystal clear view of the target audience, right? And if they have an ABM strategy, then, focus on that ABM strategy and don't detract from that ABM strategy, because even there you can generate much, much more business with intent and kind of drive your resources in the right manner. Now, the second thing, they don't have a good nurturing. Downloading one ebook doesn't mean anything. It could be I'm very interested. It could be I just fancy the topic and I thought that's interesting to me and I want to read about it.
Mm-hmm.
But how can you then map the journey of that person, the journey of people that are in the company of that person? So I don't think people today track that very well. And it happened when I used to run events also. I knew it was like 90% of the people were actually more engaging for just wanting the gift, and then the 10% were the
Scan my badge so I can have a pair of socks. Yes, that's intent data.
Exactly. So the third thing is the misalignment internally. Marketing and sales must be a end-to-end machine, right? So how are the SDRs? Are they aligned? Okay, then the sales rep, how it works with the sales rep is the handover. So there are lots of things that sometimes are just thrown over the wall, I would say, or over the
totally.
and not
what's happening with customer success. Customer success are the ones speaking to the folks on all the time, and they're going to give you as a marketer, the topics that you should be talking about in your campaigns. And a lot of times there's disconnect there as well.
Yes, I agree. I totally agree.
Where do you think we'll be in 3 years' time with intent data? And what do you think the big change is going to be within the world of intent data?
Changes will happen because we already see that with AI coming into play, right? I think AI will influence even the way we analyze intent data. We can predict intent data. So my view is that there will be a bigger play for AI that will kind of allow you to, even look and predict and identify much better lookalikes and people that are potential in your in your market space, and the ones that embrace AI into their platforms and technologies in the marketing will have a better success.
Yeah, I think as a B2B consumer, even I think that how you have based on your search, maybe this will interest you. That's going to become even more of a game changer in B2B marketing. So, if I'm looking for a new, tool to help me with whatever, I'm going to be based on the fact that you use the Riverside. We think you'll also be interested in using this editing tool or this voiceover tool or this sort of green screen tool. And again, based on the fact of what I'm already using, I see that as a far easier way for me to make a decision about what kind of tools I'm going to use. Because right now, if I do want some kind of editing tool, I can go to my friends. Yeah, I can go to the peer review sites, but it's a headache. I just want to have a tool that I know can work well right now with my tech stack. And also, I want somebody to understand my budget, right? I was looking into a video editing tool, and then I got to the price point, and it was like $1,000 a year. And I'm like, why would I? When, I'm using something right now, which I'm paying for, like a tenth of the price. And so I also want some, so understanding my budget, understanding my preferences, understanding my current tech stack. That would be like a, whoa, game changer.
As a buyer, maybe one day we'll have where the system tells us, today you should really investigate this video editing tool, because based on your preferences and all your last engagements, we think you need this tool.
Exactly,
and then
exactly that.
But
if there are any founders out there who are already doing this, or any marketers working for those founders who are already doing this, can you please hit me? Because I really want this. I want this now. And if there aren't, and somebody wants to set this up with me, also good. Also good.
Banter with Billy on that.
Yeah, exactly. We can chew the fat. We can work it all out.
Marketers need to kind of have more systematic engagement and a programmatic engagement, and not do it one off. Today I'm doing this, tomorrow I'm doing something, and it suddenly changed the whole mode. So if you want to really structure your marketing and get meaningful engagements, even from intent signals, it has to be really programmatic.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of times, and I see it still on a day-to-day basis, marketers have a plan. They sell the plan to the management, but then because results are not coming in quickly enough, they are often forced to abort too quickly. And campaigns and motions that could work if you give them another month, another 2 months, and you refine the messaging
Exactly.
and you refine the offering, and they're aborted too quickly. And I understand the pressure, but like you say, B2B buying is only getting more complicated and in many cases taking longer. But yes, marketers are aborting often too quickly and going through the shotgun approach. The only way, in my opinion, to get over that is to really have an 80-20 structure in place where you're going with your plans for 80% of it. And then you have 20% where you're testing and you're changing and you are really trying to grab hold of opportunities that are coming up on a Monday and a Thursday, because some opportunities can't wait until you finish your current motion. You've got an opportunity now to appear on a webinar, or to appear in a trade show, or for your CEO to talk somewhere. 101 things. Or if your competitor is suddenly going bust and you can make a motion to get all of their current clients. There are so many things that happen that we can't plan, but it has to be 80-20. And one thing that I really think that marketers need to be doing more of is, and I know it's tough because it's not up to them often,
Exactly.
is to really stick to their guns and say, no, this is going to work. We just need to tweak it and be patient.
I think the 80-20 approach is very, very good information for all marketers, right? Like, you build your plan and then keep 20 for, as you said, ad hoc innovations. Like,
amazing. Reuben? Thank you. I really enjoyed this banter. You're a gem. So thank you very much for joining me, and I will see you very soon.
Thank you, Billy, for having me.